Mr. Harris was a man who had everything money could buy. His mansion stood high above the city, with shining glass windows and tall gates that kept the world outside. People knew him as a powerful businessman, a man who controlled big companies and made important deals every day. But behind the expensive suits and the strong image, there was one truth no one could see. He was a single father, raising his only son, Ethan, alone. Ethan was only 10 years old. He had soft brown hair, bright curious eyes, and a heart full of questions. But even with his curious nature, Ethan often felt lonely. His mother had passed away when he was very small, and his father was always busy. Tutors came and went. Teachers tried their best, but Ethan never connected with them. He wanted someone who would not only teach him numbers and words, but also understand him. One evening, after a long day at work, Mr. Harris returned home later than usual. His expensive car rolled into the driveway and he walked inside, expecting silence. But instead of silence, he heard faint voices coming from the back garden. At first, he thought it must be one of the tutors he had hired. But as he stepped closer, he realized the voice was different, soft yet strange, like music from another world. Curious, Mr. Harris moved quietly toward the sound. The garden lights glowed faintly in the dark, casting long shadows across the walls. And then he froze. There near the garden wall sat a girl. She looked no older than 15 or 16. Her clothes were worn, almost torn in places, like she had been living on the streets. But what shocked him most was her face. Her skin had a pale glow under the moonlight, and her eyes. Her eyes shone faintly, almost like two tiny stars trapped inside them. And next to her sat Ethan, his little notebook open on his lap. The girl was drawing strange shapes and symbols on the pages, speaking in a quiet voice. Ethan was listening with deep attention, nodding and smiling as if everything made perfect sense. Mr. Harris could not believe what he was seeing. A homeless-looking girl inside his secure mansion, teaching his son under the night sky. He tightened his jaw. His first thought was anger. How did she even get inside? Where were the guards? Why was Ethan with her? But before he could speak, he listened. When you place the numbers like this, the girl whispered, her finger moving across the page, they create a pattern. The pattern is not only in math. It exists in the stars, in water, even in your heartbeat. Ethan's eyes widened. Like a secret code? The girl smiled gently. Yes, a code the universe uses to talk to us. If you learn to see it, you can understand more than any book can teach you. Mr. Harris felt his heart skip. This was no ordinary lesson. The symbols she drew were not from any school system he knew. And the way Ethan was absorbing the words, it was like he had found the teacher he had always been waiting for. The father stepped forward at last, his voice sharp. Ethan, what is going on here? Ethan jumped, almost dropping his notebook. The girl turned her glowing eyes toward Mr. Harris. For a moment, silence filled the garden. Father, Ethan said quickly, standing up. This is my friend. She teaches me things. Mr. Harris asked, his tone heavy. He looked at the girl. Who are you? How did you get past my gates? The girl did not answer right away. Instead, she tilted her head slightly as if studying him. Her eyes glimmered again, and for a moment, Mr. Harris felt like she could see right through him, into his fears, his loneliness, and his unspoken worries about Ethan. Finally, she spoke. I am only a traveler. I mean no harm. Your son is special. He listens when others do not. Her voice was calm yet mysterious. The words carried weight as if there was more meaning behind them. Mr. Harris narrowed his eyes. He should have called security right then. He should have ordered her to leave. And yet something inside him stopped him. Perhaps it was the way Ethan stood protectively next to her, clutching his notebook. Perhaps it was the strange feeling in his chest. The sense that this girl was not just a stranger, but something different. Father, please, Ethan said softly. She's not bad. She helps me understand. She teaches me things no one else does. The father looked at his son, then back at the girl. He noticed her thin frame, the way her hands trembled slightly as if she hadn't eaten in days. She did not look dangerous. She looked lost. But those glowing eyes told him she was not from the streets, not from this city, maybe not even from this world. The night air grew colder. The garden lights flickered for a second, though there was no wind. Mr. Harris felt a strange chill run down his spine. Something about this girl was beyond explanation. For the first time in years, the powerful businessman felt uncertain. He had always trusted money, power, and logic. But none of those things explained what stood in front of him now, and as he stared at the mysterious girl, one thought echoed in his mind. What is she teaching my son? After that strange night in the garden, Mr. Harris could not sleep. He kept replaying the scene in his mind. His son sitting with that glowing-eyed girl, learning symbols no human school would ever teach. He sat alone in his study, surrounded by leather books and the soft ticking of an old clock. The city lights outside painted lines across his walls. Mr. Harris had built his life on logic, on contracts, on numbers. Yet now none of those things could explain who that girl was or why she had chosen his son. By morning, he had almost convinced himself it was a dream. But when he came down for breakfast, he saw Ethan scribbling in his notebook again, humming softly to himself. The boy's handwriting looked sharper, more focused. Strange symbols covered the page, some of which looked like stars linked by invisible lines. "Ethan," Mr. Harris said carefully, "what are you writing?" His son's face lit up. "It's what she showed me, Father. Look, this shape here? It looks like a triangle, but if you turn it, it becomes part of a circle. She said it's how the stars are connected and how numbers are alive." Mr. Harris frowned. "Ethan, this girl, how many times has she come here?" Ethan lowered his head for a moment, then admitted softly, "Many times. Almost every week. She never asks for anything. She just teaches. She knows things nobody else knows." The father's chest tightened. So this wasn't just one strange meeting. This had been happening for weeks right under his roof, and he had never noticed. That evening, Mr. Harris decided to watch. He told the staff not to disturb him, and when Ethan slipped out into the garden with his notebook, the father followed silently. The girl was already there, waiting. Her clothes still looked worn, yet her posture was graceful, almost royal. She greeted Ethan with a small nod, then began speaking in her quiet, flowing voice. Tonight, she did not start with numbers. Instead, she drew a simple circle in the dirt. "Everything begins here," she told Ethan. "The circle has no end, no beginning. It is life itself. You can cut it, divide it, build from it, but it always returns." Ethan listened with wide eyes, his small hand copying every line she drew. Mr. Harris, hiding in the shadows, felt a strange pull. The girl's words were simple yet powerful. They carried a rhythm, almost like a forgotten truth being spoken aloud. "Teacher," Ethan asked innocently, "are you from another school? Or in another country?" The girl looked at him with her glowing eyes. For a moment she hesitated. Then she smiled faintly. "No, Ethan, I am not from any school, and not from any place you know." Ethan blinked. "Then where?" She leaned closer and whispered, "From the stars." Mr. Harris almost stepped out then. His heart pounded in his chest. He thought of all the science fiction movies he had seen, stories of strange visitors, but he had never believed such things could be real. The girl continued, her voice soft. "Long ago, my people lived far away. We were builders, dreamers, teachers, but our world was destroyed. Some of us escaped. I am one of the last. I cannot return home. So I carry what I can, knowledge. I share it with those who can understand," Ethan gasped. "You're an alien?" She smiled gently. "That is the word humans use, yes. But I am not here to harm. I am here to keep the light of my people alive. And you, Ethan, have the heart to carry it." The boy's cheeks turned red with pride. "Me? But I'm not smart like the other kids." She shook her head. "Smart is not enough. Many are smart but blind. You are curious. You see beyond the surface. That is why I teach you." From the shadows, Mr. Harris gripped the stone wall. His mind was a storm. An alien teaching his son? Was this a dangerous trick, or was it something greater? For the next hour, the lesson continued. She showed Ethan how numbers could fold into patterns, how shapes could predict movement, how even simple words carried hidden power. Ethan absorbed every word like water to a dry sponge. Finally, the girl stood up. Her figure looked fragile, yet there was strength in her presence. "You must keep these lessons quiet, Ethan," she said. "The world is not ready. Many would try to use this knowledge for power, not wisdom." Ethan nodded quickly, though his eyes were full of wonder. "I promise." The girl's gaze shifted suddenly, sharp as lightning. She turned her glowing eyes toward the shadows where Mr. Harris stood. His breath caught. She had seen him. For a long moment they locked eyes, man and alien. Mr. Harris felt as if his thoughts were laid bare, as if she could see his fear, his doubts. even the loneliness he tried to hide behind his wealth. Finally, she spoke, her voice steady. "Your son has a gift. Do not take it from him." Mr. Harris stepped out at last, his jaw tight. "Why my son?" he demanded. "Out of all the children in the world, why him?" The girl tilted her head. "Because he listens, because he believes, and because he has a father who will protect him, even when he does not yet understand why." Her words struck him like thunder. For the first time, Mr. Harris did not know what to say. The night grew silent, broken only by the faint rustle of leaves. And in that silence, one truth burned in his mind. This was no ordinary girl. This was a hidden teacher, and her lessons could change everything. The mansion was no longer the same for Mr. Harris. Every shadow seemed heavier, every quiet corner full of hidden eyes. He had lived there for years, but now he felt like a stranger in his own home. The thought that an alien girl had been sitting in his garden, teaching his son secret knowledge, would not leave his mind. He tried to act normal during the day. He went to meetings, signed papers, shook hands with powerful men. But when he returned home, his eyes always searched for Ethan, and for her. It was not long before he saw the truth with his own eyes. One night, when the mansion slept, Mr. Harris sat in his study, watching the security screens. He had ordered his staff to leave the cameras on every hour. Most nights were quiet. But then, around midnight, he saw something impossible. The girl appeared on the screen near the garden wall. She had not climbed the gates. She had not walked through the doors. She simply appeared as if she had stepped out of the air itself. Mr. Harris leaned forward, his heart pounding. He rewound the footage, but there was no mistake. 1 second the garden was empty. The next second she was there. His hands trembled as he poured himself a drink. This was no dream. She was not just a strange girl. She was something far beyond human. The next day he followed Ethan quietly. After dinner, the boy slipped away with his notebook, heading toward the garden. Mr. Harris walked softly behind, careful not to be seen. When he reached the edge of the garden, he froze again. There she was, sitting with Ethan. Her voice was calm, her words slow like the flow of a river. Tonight she was teaching him more than numbers. She touched the ground with her hand, and the earth under her palm glowed faintly, forming shapes like constellations in the dirt. Ethan gasped in delight, tracing them with his finger. "These," she whispered, "are not just stars. They are maps. My people once traveled by them. We knew the rivers of the sky as you know the roads of your city." Ethan's eyes shone. "Can I learn to travel like that too?" "Maybe one day," she said softly. "But first you must learn patience. Knowledge without patience becomes dangerous." Mr. Harris could not take his eyes away. He had built a fortune by buying information, trading it, using it, protecting it. Yet here, in his own garden, was knowledge no money could ever buy. Still, fear tightened his chest. If this girl was real, if she was truly from another world, what did that mean for Ethan? For their family? For humanity itself? Later that night, when Ethan had gone to bed, Mr. Harris decided he could no longer stay silent. He waited in the garden until the girl returned. She appeared once more, stepping out of the air like a ghost. Mr. Harris stepped forward. "Enough hiding. Tell me who you really are." The girl turned, her glowing eyes calm. "You already know," she said softly. "Are you dangerous?" His voice was sharp, her gaze did not waver. "Only to those who seek power. I do not harm the innocent. Why my son?" His voice cracked with anger. "What do you want from him?" She looked up at the sky. For a long moment she was silent. Then she spoke. "Ethan is not like other children. He listens, he feels. The world has grown blind, but he sees. I chose him because he can carry knowledge that must not die." Mr. Harris clenched his fists. "If anyone discovers you, men will come. They will not ask questions. They will take you away. They will take my son too." The girl's face grew sad. "That is why we stay in the shadows." Her words sank into him like cold iron. He looked at her more closely. Her clothes were thin, almost falling apart. Her frame was fragile, yet her presence carried the weight of 1,000 years. "You are homeless," he said quietly. "But not like the poor I see on the streets. You are hiding," she nodded. "I am the last of my kind. My home is gone. My people are gone. If I am caught, all that we were, all our history, our wisdom will be gone too. That is why I teach." To leave behind something before the shadows take me as well. Mr. Harris felt his throat tighten. He had faced ruthless businessmen, angry rivals, and the cold cruelty of money. Yet he had never felt this kind of fear. Fear that came not from losing power, but from touching something greater than himself. The girl stepped closer, her glowing eyes fixed on his. You are afraid for your son, but you should also be proud. He will grow stronger because of this. One day he may protect you just as you protect him now. Mr. Harris wanted to argue, but his words failed him. Deep down he knew she was right. That night, as he lay in bed, sleep would not come. His mind kept circling the same question. Was this girl a gift for his son, or a danger waiting to explode? The shadows in his mansion seemed deeper now, the silence heavier. For the first time in his life, Mr. Harris did not feel like the master of his home. Something else was here. Something powerful. Something hidden in the shadows, and it was only a matter of time before the world noticed. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Ethan and the strange girl grew stronger. Mr. Harris, however, felt torn. He watched silently as his son learned faster than ever before. Ethan spoke of numbers, symbols, and patterns as if he had discovered a secret language hidden inside the world. But with every lesson, Mr. Harris felt a shadow growing in his heart. Knowledge was never free. In his business life, he had learned this truth again and again. Every gift had a price. What price would this alien girl demand from his son? One night as the city slept, Mr. Harris called her to the garden. Ethan was upstairs, already in bed. The father wanted answers. She appeared in her usual way, stepping out of the night air as if the world itself had opened a door for her. Her glowing eyes shone softly under the moonlight. You wanted to speak, she said calmly. Yes. Mr. Harris's voice was low but firm. I've seen what you teach him. I've seen the symbols, the patterns, but I need to know. How far will this go? The girl looked at him in silence for a moment. Then she said, farther than you imagine. Your son has the gift to unlock what humans have long forgotten. He can touch the energy that flows inside every living being. He can awaken the spark. Mr. Harris narrowed his eyes. Energy? What do you mean? She drew a small circle in the dirt with her finger, just like before. But this time, when she pressed her palm inside the circle, a faint light appeared, glowing from the earth itself. This is what your people do not see, she whispered. The hidden fire inside every human. It sleeps waiting to be awakened. If your son learns, he could use it to heal, to build, to protect. Mr. Harris stepped back slightly. The glow in the dirt made his chest tighten. And if others learn it? Her voice grew colder. Then they will use it to conquer, to destroy. That is why it must be taught carefully. That is why I chose Ethan. He has purity. He does not hunger for power. The father's hands curled into fists. You want to give my son something that the world has never known. Do you understand what would happen if this got out? Nations would fight for it. Men would kill for it. And you'd be hunted. The girl's eyes softened. Yes, that is why this choice must be yours. Ethan is ready for the final lesson. But I will not force him. Or you. You must decide. Shall I give him the key or shall I disappear forever? The offer struck Mr. Harris like a blow. His heart pounded. The key? To awaken something inside his son that no human had ever unlocked? The father in him wanted to protect Ethan, to keep him safe from the dangers of such knowledge. But another part of him, the part that had built empires, felt the pull of it. What if his son truly became something greater? That night he could not sleep. He walked through his mansion, past priceless art, golden chandeliers, and polished floors. All of it suddenly felt small, meaningless. For the first time, money seemed weak. What the girl offered was beyond wealth. It was something eternal. The next morning, Ethan surprised him. At breakfast, the boy's face was glowing with excitement. Father, he said, she wants to show me something important. Something final. Mr. Harris stared at him. Do you trust her, Ethan? Yes, the boy said without hesitation. She doesn't treat me like I'm just a child. She believes in me. She says I can do great things. The father's chest tightened. He wanted to say no. He wanted to lock the doors and keep Ethan safe. But then he saw the light in his son's eyes, a light he had never seen before. Ethan was not lonely anymore. He was alive, curious, strong. That evening the girl came again. She stood in the garden with Ethan at her side, waiting for the father's answer. Well, she asked softly, do I give him the lesson or do I vanish? Mr. Harris's lips pressed into a hard line. His mind screamed with fear, but his heart whispered another truth. He thought of his late wife, of her gentle words about Ethan. He will be more than us. He just needs someone to believe in him. Finally, Mr. Harris spoke. If you harm him, I will destroy everything you are. But if what you say is true, then teach him. Give him the lesson. The girl bowed her head slightly. So be it. She touched Ethan's shoulder. A faint glow spread from her hand, flowing into the boy. Ethan gasped, his eyes widening as if a storm of light had entered his mind. The air around them shifted, vibrating softly. Mr. Harris watched in silence, his heart thundering. He had made his choice. He had accepted the dangerous offer, but deep inside one thought refused to leave him. Had he saved his son, or doomed him? The night after the dangerous lesson, silence filled the mansion. But inside, Mr. Harris's heart was louder than ever. He had agreed. He had allowed the alien girl to give Ethan something no human had ever held, the spark of hidden energy. And now he could not escape the question, had he done the right thing? At dinner, Ethan was different. The boy's eyes seemed brighter, almost glowing with life. His hands shook slightly as if they carried an invisible power. He laughed more, spoke more, and for the first time his voice carried confidence. Father, Ethan said excitedly, I can feel it. It's like a light inside me. When I close my eyes, I can see shapes like doors waiting to open. She said I must practice, that if I learn control, I can use it to heal. Isn't that amazing? Mr. Harris forced a smile, but deep inside fear twisted him. His son was no longer the same. That night when Ethan went to sleep, Mr. Harris sat alone in the dark living room. His glass of wine stood untouched on the table. Shadows from the fireplace flickered across the walls. He thought of all the years he had worked to protect Ethan, building walls, hiring guards, creating a fortress of wealth. And now all of it felt useless. The true danger was not outside. It was already inside his home, inside his son. The girl appeared again, standing silently near the window. Her glowing eyes reflected the firelight. You regret, she said softly. Mr. Harris turned sharply. You gave him something he was never meant to have. You made him different. Do you know what will happen if people find out? She walked closer, her voice calm. He was always different. I only showed him what was already there. Do not fear difference. Fear ignorance. Fear the men who would take him from you. Mr. Harris's jaw tightened. And they will. If anyone learns what you did, they will come for him. Governments, scientists, soldiers, they will tear him apart to understand this power. The girl's face grew grave. Then you must decide, Father. Will you hide him? Will you protect him? Or will you silence what he has become? Her words struck like knives. For years, Mr. Harris had made hard choices in business. He had betrayed rivals, crushed companies, and turned enemies into dust. But none of those decisions had ever hurt like this one. He saw two paths before him. One path, he could stop the lessons, send the girl away, and try to bury the secret forever. Ethan would return to being an ordinary boy, safe but small. The other path, he could embrace what the girl offered. Protect her, protect Ethan, and allow his son to grow into something beyond human. But that would mean danger. That would mean war with powers far greater than him. His mind screamed to choose the first path. But then he thought of Ethan's face, the smile, the pride, the light that had finally returned to his son's eyes. After years of loneliness, Ethan had found meaning. How could he take that away? The girl stepped closer. Your son has already begun. You cannot undo what is done, but you can choose whether he walks this path alone or with a father by his side. Mr. Harris closed his eyes. For a long moment he sat in silence. Then he breathed deeply and opened them. His decision was clear. I will protect him, he said firmly. I don't care what it costs. If the world comes for him, they will have to go through me first. The girl bowed her head slightly. Then you are wiser than many of your kind. From that night forward, Mr. Harris changed. He was no longer just a businessman chasing wealth. He became a guardian, watching the shadows, preparing for threats he could not yet see. He arranged new security, but in secret. Cameras hidden, codes changed, movements tracked. He told no one, not even his most trusted staff, about the girl or the lessons. But even as he prepared, doubts haunted him. One evening, as Ethan practiced quietly with the girl in the garden, Mr. Harris stood at the window watching. He saw his son's hands glow faintly as he moved them, guiding light as if it were clay. The boy's face was calm, full of wonder. For a moment, pride filled the father's heart. His son was special, more special than he had ever imagined. But behind that pride, fear whispered, "How long before others notice?" That night, as he lay awake, Mr. Harris whispered to himself, "I have made my choice. I will protect him, but God help me if it was the wrong one." In the shadows outside, headlights flickered on a distant road. Black cars moved slowly past the mansion, their windows dark, their engines silent. Unknown men were watching, and Mr. Harris did not yet know. The true test of his decision was coming soon. The mansion no longer felt safe. For weeks, Mr. Harris had noticed things that did not belong. Strange cars parked across the street with engines running, unmarked vans driving by slowly at night, men in dark suits standing near the corner, pretending to check their phones but never really leaving. He had lived among powerful men long enough to recognize a hunter's gaze. Someone had found them. One night, as rain fell in sheets against the windows, Mr. Harris sat in his study with the curtains closed. The storm outside felt too close, too alive. Every rumble of thunder made him think of doors breaking down, soldiers rushing in, his son screaming. He poured a glass of whiskey but did not drink. Instead, he stared at the security monitors, and then he saw them, 2 black cars sliding slowly past the gates. They did not stop, but their presence was enough. The storm was no longer outside. It was here. He called Ethan to his side. The boy came down in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes. "Father, why are you awake?" Mr. Harris knelt in front of him, gripping his son's shoulders. "Listen to me, Ethan. No matter what happens, you must stay close to me. Do not run off, do not speak to strangers. Promise me." Ethan's eyes filled with worry. "Is it about her?" "They're coming for her, aren't they?" Before Mr. Harris could answer, a soft voice came from the corner. "Yes, they are." The alien girl stood in the shadows of the room, her glowing eyes reflecting the firelight. She had appeared without sound, like always. Mr. Harris turned sharply. "You knew they would come?" She nodded slowly. "It was only a matter of time. My people's enemies are gone, but humans are different. They hunt what they fear, and they fear what they do not understand." Mr. Harris rose to his feet. His voice was sharp, urgent. "Then we must move you. If they find you here, it's over. For you. For Ethan. For all of us." The girl shook her head. "No, they already know I'm here. Hiding will not save me. What matters now is protecting him." She looked at Ethan, her eyes full of calm fire. "He carries something greater than me now. They will want him." The father's stomach tightened. The idea of strangers taking his son made his blood boil. "They will not touch him," he growled. "I'll burn the world before I let them." The girl stepped closer. "Then you must be ready. Tonight may be the night." Thunder cracked outside, shaking the glass windows. The storm raged louder, as if the sky itself was warning them. Hours passed, heavy and tense. Mr. Harris armed the security system, locked the doors, and paced the halls like a soldier preparing for battle. Ethan sat with the girl, who spoke to him in whispers, teaching him calm breathing, teaching him to silence fear. Then it happened. At 3 a.m., the lights of the mansion flickered and died. The storm outside had cut the power, or perhaps it wasn't the storm at all. The security monitors went black. Silence swallowed the house. Mr. Harris's heart thundered in his chest. He grabbed a flashlight and a handgun from his desk. His voice was firm but low. "Ethan, stay behind me." The boy clung to his father's arm. The girl stood still, her glowing eyes brighter in the darkness. "They are here," she whispered. A sound echoed through the mansion. The front gate creaked open. Heavy boots splashed against wet stone. Shadows moved across the windows. Mr. Harris guided them quickly down the hall. With shaking hands, he opened a hidden panel behind a bookshelf. Inside was a narrow room lined with steel, a panic room he had built years ago but never used. "Inside," he ordered. Ethan looked terrified. "But what about you, Father?" "I'll be close," Mr. Harris said, forcing calm into his voice. "Just do as I say." The girl touched his arm. Her voice was steady, almost sad. "You cannot fight them with bullets. You will need him. You will need what he carries inside." But before he could answer, a crash shook the house. The front door was broken open. Voices shouted through the halls. Men were inside. Mr. Harris shut Ethan and the girl inside the hidden room. He locked the steel door and turned back into the dark hall. His mind screamed with fear, but his heart was fire. The storm outside roared, lightning flashing across the sky. Shadows moved closer, boots striking hard against marble floors. The men had come, and Mr. Harris knew. The storm he had feared for so long had finally arrived. The mansion shook with the sound of heavy boots. Men shouted in short, sharp commands. Mr. Harris pressed his back to the wall, his gun raised, his breathing tight. Lightning flashed through the windows, painting the intruders in black shadows. They moved like soldiers, trained, fast, merciless. They carried rifles, their faces hidden behind masks. This was no robbery. This was a hunt. Mr. Harris fired a warning shot. The sound echoed like thunder, but the men did not stop. They spread out, searching, their voices cold. "Target is inside. Secure the boy." The words made his blood run cold. They weren't here for the girl alone. They were here for Ethan. Deep inside the steel panic room, Ethan trembled in the dark. The girl stood beside him, calm, her glowing eyes steady. "They will find us," Ethan whispered. "They will hurt Father." She knelt down, her voice soft but strong. "Listen to me, Ethan. The time has come for the final lesson. You carry the spark now. Tonight you must learn to use it." Ethan shook his head, fear in his eyes. "I can't. I don't know how." Her hands touched his shoulders. A faint light passed from her palms into him, warm and steady. "You can. Trust yourself. Close your eyes. Feel the light inside you. It is not small, it is endless. Call it and it will answer." Ethan's breathing slowed. His eyes closed. For a moment the fear faded. He felt something, like a river of fire flowing under his skin, waiting to be touched. Outside, Mr. Harris fought desperately, but the intruders pushed forward. Bullets tore through the walls. Smoke filled the air. He knew he could not hold them off much longer. Then, the steel door of the panic room began to glow. Not from torches or drills, but from inside. Mr. Harris turned in shock as light poured through the cracks. The steel hissed, then slid open, not broken but unlocked by something greater. Ethan stepped out, his small figure glowing faintly, his eyes bright like stars. The men froze. Even through their masks, their fear was clear. What is this?" one of them stammered. The girl walked behind Ethan, her voice calm. "This is what you came for. But he will not be yours." The soldiers raised their weapons. "Take the boy." But before they could fire, Ethan lifted his hands. The light inside him surged forward, exploding into the hall. It was not fire, not lightning, but pure energy. Blinding, beautiful, unstoppable. It knocked the soldiers backward, their weapons clattering across the floor. Mr. Harris shielded his eyes, stunned. His son stood in the center of the storm, unharmed, powerful, alive. The girl's voice rose above the chaos. "Do not use it for hate, Ethan. Use it to protect. Use it to guide. This is your final lesson." Ethan nodded, tears streaming down his face. With another surge of light, the walls shook and the intruders fled in terror, retreating into the storm outside. The mansion was left broken, but Ethan still stood, his small frame glowing with the power of something greater than humanity. When the silence returned, Mr. Harris dropped his gun and rushed to his son, pulling him into his arms. He held him tightly, his voice shaking. "Ethan, my boy, what have you become?" The girl stood nearby, her glowing eyes soft with sadness. "He has become what he was meant to be, a light in the darkness, a voice when the world is silent." Mr. Harris looked at her, his voice heavy. "And you? What happens now?" She stepped closer, touching Ethan's cheek gently. "My time is finished. I have given him all I can. My people live on through him. But I cannot stay. If I remain, they will return. They will never stop hunting." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "No, you can't leave. You're my teacher, my friend." Her face was calm, but her voice carried sorrow. "You are ready now. You do not need me anymore. Remember what I taught you. Patience, courage, light. Carry it always." Ethan hugged her tightly, and for the first time the girl's eyes glimmered with something more than starlight, something almost human. When she stepped back, her body began to shimmer. Light wrapped around her like wings of fire. Slowly she faded until only her voice remained. "Protect him, Father. One day he will protect you. And more than you." Then she was gone. The storm outside finally broke, the rain softening to a gentle drizzle. Mr. Harris stood in the ruined hall, holding his son, staring at the empty air where the girl had been. Ethan's glow dimmed, leaving only his small, trembling figure, but his eyes still carried light, quiet, steady, eternal. For the first time in his life, Mr. Harris felt powerless. Yet at the same time, he felt something stronger than wealth, stronger than fear. He felt hope. He looked down at Ethan, whispering, "I will protect you, no matter what comes." Ethan rested his head against his father's chest, and in the silence that followed, one question lingered in Mr. Harris's mind, a question that would haunt him forever. If knowledge from the stars came to your child, would you embrace it or fear it?